What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today, let's talk about the state of the Pokemon trading card games standard format in April 2021, mid-April, so April/May, maybe you're watching this. And Battle Styles is the newest set, so the standard format is Team Up through Battle Styles. Chilling Reigns on the horizon. We are nearing the endish portion of the standard format before it rotates and we get our new standard format in like 4 months or so. But yeah, let's talk about this. You might have noticed my videos have been a little less scheduled. I haven't had daily uploads the past 2 weeks or so. Because I am in my last semester of graduate school and I've had a lot to do for that, so extra stress and an extra workload going on there, so I haven't been able to keep up with YouTube and definitely have not been keeping up with Twitch as much as I would like to, but hopefully we'll be back to a normal schedule with all of that soon. And I haven't really talked about my thoughts on the sets, game design, standard format, basically the state of the game in quite a while, and I know people have been asking about my opinions on all of this, so we will get into that today. I do want to make a better space for me to record these kinds of more intimate videos without no PTCGO gameplay, no cards on the screen, but for right now you just got me, my camera, and the green screen behind me, so we'll work on that, but you didn't come here to hear me blab about that. So yeah, I already gave you the setting. Battle Styles is the newest set, standard format, April/May. Chilling Reigns the next set. Most of the world is still just playing online tournaments, and there are no official TPCI tournaments happening in real life. We do have Players Cup 4 coming up, but I do want to mention that because a large part of how we're looking at the scope of this standard format is that it's being played online, and that does have some factors that come along with it. How many people are competing and taking it seriously? How many people that wouldn't normally be playing in competitive regionals and internationals are playing in larger events online? How is that affecting, the metagame and the amount of people being played, the caliber of players in these events? That's something that definitely affects how the game is. So it's just something I should bring up, that it creates more factors, and it's a factor itself that we're playing almost entirely on PTCGO and through play.limitlesstcg.com, and then in the Players Cup 3 and 4 events. So there's going to be differences that come along with that as opposed to real life events. Maybe back when I was doing that critique on the game design a couple months back, that had to have been this year, right? That was definitely 2021, probably. Maybe was it December? I don't know. When I made that video critiquing, that Creatures is designed the game in a way so that younger, more novice players can have a chance even against experts. That I'm sure you know what video I'm talking about with that. Back when I was talking about that, maybe that opinion and that thought, and I wouldn't have even had the time and energy or want to make that video if we were still traveling to regionals every other weekend and having all of these tournaments to metagame for and deck build for and test for. Maybe that would have never even came up if we weren't just grinding games on PTCGO every night. So that these factors create other factors, and there's a lot of layers to it. Just wanted to definitely segment a portion of this video to bring to light that this is the first time we are in an online only era of the Pokemon trading card game, and I think that's something to definitely, it's kind of a restriction on my thoughts here. Maybe not a restriction, that's a bad word, a caveat to my thoughts here, especially to my thoughts back in that video a few months ago critiquing the game design. With that being said, Battle Styles brought some great new powerful cards, like most sets do. But what is really great about Battle Styles is it brought Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, one of the cards that were engineered to be a meta-defining card. But unlike many past meta-defining cards, or I should say engineered cards that were purposely put into the sets to be a top contender in the trading card game, Urshifu VMAX is not like the Eternatus, the Centiskorch, the Zacian Vs. It is not one-tracked, it's not linear, and it's not just blowing up your opponent's Pokemon in one swift blow. Because it's a Rapid Strike Pokemon, so it goes along with the tactic that Rapid Strike tag comes with, and the designers putting a more thoughtful Pokemon at the forefront of competitive play purposefully was a nice change of pace when we had Eternatus VMAX be one of the purposeful meta-defining cards, preceded by Zacian V, and Pikarom, and ADP, and Reshizard, and Mewtwo Mew. A lot of very, aggressive and one-hit knockout-oriented Pokemon, and just these three prizers in general. Urshifu VMAX almost makes me forget that I'm playing with a three-prize Pokemon. And three-prize Pokemon has kind of become a four-letter word to me, almost. I mean, although three-prize Pokemon is a phrase, not a word, and has many more than four letters. Three-prize Pokemon has become like an obscenity to me. It's just, in my opinion, we won't take a lot of time for this, but in my opinion, three-prize Pokemon are just the worst mechanic ever introduced to the Pokemon trading card game. For, reasons that are fairly obvious, that a Pokemon trading card game is over when 6 prize cards are taken. So if Pokemon are now worth 3 prizes, games are over very quickly. It's quite an obvious and at the face of it all, you could see what the issue would be for some people. But with, like I'm saying, Urshifu VMAX Rapid Strike almost doesn't feel like I'm playing with a VMAX Pokemon at all, or like I'm playing with a 3-prize Pokemon. And another card in Battle Styles that makes the game more enjoyable is Cheryl as well. One of my favorite decks to play right now is Orbeetle VMAX with Cheryl, because I can slow the game down and take more time to plan out my turns and my actions, and give my opponent more time to misplay and give myself more time to play optimally. So Cheryl is another great card, I think, from Battle Styles that really enhanced the game, even just in games when it's being played. Now, obviously, these two cards are not cards that are in every deck and in every match that you and other people will play in this standard format. Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX is seeing like 10 to 15%-ish meta shares in some of the more popular online tournaments. Cheryl is not being played very popularly. I could have chosen these words better. Very much at all. But Cheryl is a great card that I think we'll see play for more time to come. But Battle Styles, like I'm saying, brought some of these cards with more thoughtful design. Now, the real question is, when we think about, well, can the game be fixed from here? How can the game be fixed? How long will it take for the game to go back to the way it was? These kinds of questions, there's another question you have to ask first. So I will pose those questions that I just posed with another question that I am now posing. Does Creatures think the game needs to be fixed? And if so, do they want to fix it? That's the real crux of this. Because if Creatures does not see an issue with 3-prize Pokemon, whether that be Tag Team GX or VMAX Pokemon, if Creatures does not see the issue with games being decided by my Pokemon is weak to yours, or my Pokemon one-shots your Pokemon every turn of the game, or I whiffed an energy this turn so I can never come back because the game's over in 2 turns. If Creatures doesn't see issues with these kinds of things, then there's no reason to even question how can they be fixed, because Creatures doesn't see an issue that needs fixing. So the game designers would have to identify what's going on as an issue within the game itself, and that is something that I am not confident is going through the game designer's mind. In my opinion, as a competitive player, a collector, a content creator, just an overall Pokemon fan and Pokemon trading card game fan, I think that the Pokemon trading card game is succeeding in so many ways right now. And if I was the company, taking care of this, or one of the companies taking care of this, I'm not sure that I see an issue with the game right now. That being said, Creatures Incorporated and the Pokemon Card Lab inside of Creatures Inc., their main concern is supposed to be the playability of the game, and not necessarily is the game selling well, is the game basically, yeah, their concern isn't supposed to be is the game selling well. Their concern is supposed to be, is the game good? Is the game fun, enjoyable? Is it letting skillful players create skillful things? Are people having fun within the game? But I'm sure that those two overlap and cross all the times. I'm not a corporate person. I don't understand exactly what goes on within the company and within the different levels of creatures in the Pokemon Card Lab. But back to what I was saying, I do think that the Pokemon TCG is succeeding in many different facets. One, it's obviously selling well, but that is more so the Pokemon TC, the Pokemon trading cards. That's not necessarily for the game aspect of it, but whether or not they, creatures, Pokemon, whoever, see the collecting aspect and the actual playing aspect as two different things or not is something that I don't know. The way I see it, it's selling no matter what. And I don't think, will this next set sell, is ever going to be an issue for Pokemon in the foreseeable future. Now, there's other card games like Magic the Gathering where their cards, or new cards coming out at least, are widely valued by how playable are they and in what formats are they playable. Should I buy these and play with them? So Magic needs to keep that power creep going. They need to keep looking at, well, if these cards aren't good enough, people aren't going to buy them. If that was true with Pokemon, Vivid Voltage would not have sold well, and Vivid Voltage would not be $250 a box right now when it was just released five months ago. That wouldn't be the case. If Vivid Voltage was a Magic set, that box would probably be on fire sales right now. So Pokemon doesn't really have to worry about the design. When I say design, the mechanics, the effects, the card text of the cards sales wise, because they are going to sell cards no matter what. If they ever have a worry, they could just put a Charizard on a card, ship it, and that product's going to sell like hotcakes. In the near future, I'd say 3 to 5 years, Pokemon probably doesn't have to worry about if their card set will sell. It's going to sell. So in that aspect, it's doing great. Now, let's look at the trading card game aspect. Well, in third-party tournaments, everything on play.limitlesstcg.com, those are not sanctioned or held or have anything to do with the official Pokemon trading card game and the company, but these tournaments are getting like 300 plus people on weeknights at 6 p.m. They're getting like 500-600 people on weekends to spend their entire day playing Pokemon TCG online for an unofficial tournament. And then the Players Cup is having a lot of people play, at least in the North American region, like thousands of people gaining tournament rep in the Players Cup events. And then, the qualifiers and whatnot. And those have been a pretty big deal recently. And they're even adding money in for Players Cup 4 for the top 16 or the top 4, top 8 or whatever it is that's getting money. But so attendance wise in third party events, which are the majority of events being played right now, attendance is booming. It's doing great. There's like thousands of people playing in events every week from around the world. In the Players Cup events, the official events from Pokemon, doing great. Sales are doing great. PTCGO code stores, like my own sponsor PoTown, like PTCGO store, like Flipside codes, Full Grip codes. They're all selling PTCGO cards like nobody's business. PTCGO content creators are even doing really well with views, even though, or I shouldn't say PTCGO content creators, Pokemon TCG gameplay content creators are doing really well with views, and that was something I was worried about going into the pandemic with events being canceled. I wasn't sure if people would even care because of how crappy PTCGO is, and we wouldn't have real life events going on for a while. But Pokemon TCG is succeeding on most facets. Really, the only place it's not succeeding in my opinion, and it's gotten better since Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage, but it's still not succeeding in appealing to the more competitive players and appealing to the actual intrinsic gameplay at a competitive level. I think it's very good at gameplay at the casual level, but so I've been playing the card game for a long time, so I cannot speak to the fact of, well, what does it feel like to pick up the card game in 2020 and then in 2021 become a competitive player? I can't answer that, but I have had feedback from people who say, it's really easy to get into. Like, the Pokemon, you don't have to evolve a lot of your Pokemon. You can play Vs, you can play tag teams, just slap them on the board. A lot of the cards are simple and easy to understand. I can play a lot of different types in the game. But then when I get into the competitive feel, it's like, oh, I missed an energy, so I'm going to lose because I just get run over. Or Crushing Hammer is very effective because games are so short. Or it kind of sucks that, I only have to knock out 2 Pokemon or get 2 Pokemon knocked out, and then the game's over. I don't really feel like I had a say in anything that happened. So I think Pokemon succeeded very well in the casual gameplay aspect, the entry-level aspect of the Pokemon TCG, but the competitive portion of once those players actually want to start competing in tournaments, the game has become very feels bad. The game has become very, I whiffed something, so now I lose in 2 turns, or my opponent flipped heads, so now I lose in 2 turns, or I might as well just scoop because the game is absolutely over. The game has become very feels bad about that, and that's because of, the accelerated power and the prize cards, Pokemon being worth 3 prize cards, Pokemon not needing to evolve anymore, things like that. And all of that I talked about in my History of Power Creep video. You can either search History of Power Creep or go on my channel and go to the card design playlist, or probably my most popular uploads. I think it's one of those, which I explained in detail how the graph shows how HP and damage output has really separated over time between the big basics and the stage 1 3 prize Pokemon compared to the non 3 prize Pokemon. So I think the card game is succeeding on a lot of facets right now, and the only one it's not is the once you get into competing in the Pokemon TCG. And I do want to say, I'm not talking about just the top of the top competing. I'm not even talking about only people who are going for their Worlds invite. I'm talking about pretty much everybody competing, like even the people who will just go to League Challenges when events come back, or go to League Challenges, League Cups, and then maybe they're one local regional. I think it's even at a point where those people feel the lack of, what's the word I'm looking for? The lack of player interaction and the lack of skill influence in the games. I do not think it is at such an underground level where only the top of the top are noticing it. I think it's at a level where even the casual competitive players are noticing it. Like I said, I think the card game right now is doing a great job for players getting into the card game, finding a tag team GX or a VMAX they like, building a deck and playing with friends. It's great for that entry level, but I think once you get to the next step and you start competing against, a population of people and competing for prizes or glory or, whatever it is, maybe just wanting to become good at a game, the game feels very much like it's not rewarding you for being good. Which it is in small aspects right now, but just much, much smaller than it ever was before, in my opinion. And also games are just going by very fast and just, they're very feels bad. That's like the best way I can describe that. Now, as for the state of the metagame, it has progressed from the Darkness Ablaze Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates, which those three sets, basically the metagame was the same. The metagame was basically the same from end of August 2020 to mid-March of 2021. We had like a 7-month metagame because Vivid Voltage did not change anything. Shining Fates gave us Rusted Sword, and Battle Styles, the next main release, was postponed because of Shining Fates being thrown in there. So we had a metagame that lasted longer than it feels like any metagame has ever that I've been playing, because Vivid Voltage just changed the game so little. Battle Styles, like I was starting to say, Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX is a breath of fresh air because it's a very strong card with support that does not just blow up your opponent and end the game right there. Cheryl is a great card for players who want to play a healing or tanking aspect and take the game a little bit slower. But there's also smaller cards that are making player interaction and player choices and skill a little bit more splashable. Some of those cards include Escape Rope, which I do like Escape Rope, and it now gives us not only, we'll get to the part where it influences the game, but it also influences deck building. You can decide yourself if your deck is better suited for Switch, for Escape Rope, or a combination of the two. And Escape Rope also forces your opponent to make decisions on your turn, which we were for the most part lacking in this standard format. Another card is Tool Jammer, which is not seeing a ton of play. I do think it sees a lot more play over in Japan than it does here, for whatever reason that is. But I do think it's a good card that's being underutilized right now. And as other tool cards become more used, Tool Jammer is also more useful. And it's a card that doesn't necessarily bring interaction into the game, but it brings in a card that you can put down to prepare for your opponent's tools. Which is very nice. And there's some other cards from Battle Styles that kind of do those things as well. Empoleon V blocking non-rule box basic Pokemon's abilities while it's active, a little bit of interaction there, kind of, and also not interaction, but choice and skill influence, Kricketune V. Kricketune V allows you to either draw 3 on the bench or 4 in the active, so it gives you a little bit of choice at least, as opposed to just slapping down at the Dene and drawing 6, which anybody can do. You can play out your turn differently, and I felt it many times while playing Kricketune V in my deck, where I played out my turn differently to get to draw like 2 extra cards off of Kricketune instead of only drawing 0 or 1. So that is kind of a feels good moment in a sea of feels bad moments. And I do think Battle Styles has made the standard format metagame a little more bearable. It feels like you can almost play any VMAX you want to that's within reason of being decent and see some success with it, or see at least be able to fight with other standard format decks. We've seen Inteleon VMAX make a comeback and Lapras VMAX make a comeback. I even saw Cinderace VMAX get some performances, which that one's a little puzzling. That might just be a tell of how strong Welder is and how strong Fire is as a whole. But we have so many VMAXs being used. We have, like I said, Lapras and Inteleon. We have both Urshifus. We have Corviknight VMAX getting some placements. Victini VMAX, Centiskorch VMAX, Eternatus VMAX, you know, the basics there. The really, really good ones. Colossal VMAX getting a little bit of love. Orbeetle VMAX coming back, and I think it's a very good deck right now. You can play just about any type, like Pokemon typing, you know, grass, fire, water. You can play most types right now. None of them are completely shut out, which is pretty nice, because water was absolutely unplayable for a while there, but it's actually like maybe it's getting creeped out again as Pikarom starts coming back up, but it's definitely more playable than it used to be. Eternatus has more things countering it, which is nice, because Eternatus is just a linear beat stick, slam your head on the table and click attack kind of deck. It is very good, and there is reason to play it. It's just not fun to play for either side. But also something going on in the standard format is just, it's just shows how ridiculous tag teams were. That, you know, Urshifu VMAX is 330 HP, fighting type. It does 150, 300 with fighting weakness. And Pika Rom is still one of the best decks. It's kind of crazy. And Victini VMAX is a very good card and a very popular deck, as is Centiskorch VMAX. And all of these cards, and also just throw Eternus in here when I'm saying this, all of these cards tower over tag teams. But ADP Zacian and Pikarom and Mewtwo decks, even Mewtwo decks when there's Power Plant and Mimikyu Shadowbox in the being played, these tag teams are still succeeding because tag teams were just unreasonably broken, because they just, you know, you, instead of evolving up into a Pokemon, now we just have to slap this thing down, attach energy to it, and we get that, you know, those returns just keep coming because we get to attack with that Pokemon turn after turn because it has high HP. We didn't have to evolve it, so it can't get knocked down in its lighter forms. So this format has gotten better, but it's also showing that tag teams were just unequivocally broken. But the state of the game does feel better to play. Like, right now, it sucks because I'm too busy to play in tournaments right now. It's been hard to play in online tournaments because I'm either in class or tired from the stress, or writing papers, or playing in a tournament but not really focusing because I have other things to do. But I actually like the standard format a little bit now. Maybe less so for the actual gameplay and more so for the metagaming and the deck building, because the deck I really just want to play in tournaments right now is Orbeetle VMAX and just scoop if I see Luke Metal or Fire, because Orbeetle VMAX is really fun to play. You can, like, just not attack and spread damage and then Cheryl, and it's the kind of deck I like. But at least this format is allowing those kinds of things to be somewhat viable at the very least, so that's nice. And you also see the same people doing well right now. And, you know, the same people can do well for many reasons. It just, like, let's take someone like Azul. Azul, GG, is a very good player. So, you know, it's no surprise that he does well a lot. But I don't think saying, oh, Azul's doing well tournament after tournament, that means this format can't be bad. I don't think that's how it works. Taking someone like Azul, for example, I'm sure he's misplaying a lot less than other people. I'm sure he's seeing plays that other people are not seeing. But that doesn't convince me that this format and the current era of game design doesn't suck. Whether or not good players are doing good, the games are still over quicker on average, and there's a lot more feels bad moments on average, and there's a lot more interesting interactions between you and your opponent happening on average. But all in all, I think the Pokemon TCG is succeeding right now. I think the standard format is at least bearable right now with battle styles. And that's a lot more than I could have said for the Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates era, because that was just abysmal, horrible, horrible stuff. Worst format I've probably ever played in. Right now, it's a little better. Urshifu VMAX helps that because it, you know, pushed Eternus down a little bit, maybe pushed some other decks up. Level Ball gave more playability to things like Mad Party and Spiritomb and the Stage 2 Inteleon line. Escape Rope adds a little bit more interaction. Tool Jammer is a unique card that's nice to have around. Cheryl gives us a real healing option as opposed to Mallow and Lana, which just did not heal enough anymore because of the massive power creep. So Battle Styles did a lot of good for the game. We are still a long ways off from me saying that it's a good format, but at the very least, it's better than the last one that we had. So that's my wrap up on my thoughts on the state of the Pokemon trading card game in April and May 2021. Let me know what you have to think about any of what I just talked about. I rambled for quite a while. Wow, 30 minutes. I should go to sleep now, but let me know what you think about what I said and tell me your thoughts as well in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Like I said, I've been slacking on videos and streaming, but we're going to try to get back to that as soon as possible. But as always, I appreciate the views. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, and also check out my sponsor, PotownStore.com, if you need any PTCG codes. Leave a like and a comment because it truly does help out the video, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.